preview. If you have anything that you have done that you think looks really cool, remember that we try to get almost all the stuff that we can possibly get from the community and put it in a blog post that is coming up about, it's probably at the end of the week, this week. But tune in for things that you cannot see on the preview, for instance, like videos and a lot of audio content that we cannot show it in here, but you can see it on the Devstream, on the community highlights. And if you have something that you really want to showcase, and for some reason we missed like a couple weeks ago or something like that, send it to me or send it to KFC, particularly to KFC. He's the one that does the blog post, and then we'll make sure that you're showcased.
Cool.
And with that, we're actually gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this development update, because we have a lot to talk. It's gonna be a much quicker dev stream. I mean, the dev stream is gonna be as long, but we're gonna try to rush through a lot of content.
Well, I'll tweak that slightly. A lot of content will be next time. This time will be one thing very special.
You know, we should get into a rant right now for 10 minutes of if it's gonna be long or not.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Development update. There we go.
Anticipation.
Road to winter update.
Yeah.
Let's go, Mark.
So we're all the way here, and we finally made it. My mic, make sure it's set correctly. This is going to be important. We finally made it. Obviously, we started showing you guys this roadmap, and I think we did most of what we said we would. There was a couple of things that we weren't able to knock off. Like, I think with the communication tools, we probably did half of what we actually want to do. If that. There was still a lot to go in terms of logic improvements. That's still another huge thing on our radar. But the base building revamp is something that we did get to, and we've been waiting so long to work on this, actually. And to me, the builders, the engineers have actually had the longest wait. Mm-hmm. Anytime we were asked about something, we're like, oh, it's going to come later, it's going to come later. But I think it was worth the wait.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. This is really cool.
Yeah, so Foxhole Trench Warfare, our big update of the year. Usually our biggest update comes at the end of the year, and this year it's going to be Trench Warfare. It's going to see a big revamp of how you build bases in Foxhole. In a weird way, it's going to add almost a sub-game to the actual game.
I was going to say, it's not even like a revamp so much as it just feels new.
Yeah, like it's going to be new stuff
Not
for
to
them
hype
to
it up.
do, right?
Yeah.
You guys understand what we're talking about.
So I do want to talk first, just before we get into it, in terms of what features are actually going to be coming. I want to talk a little bit about how this whole thing started. I'm not gonna lie, I always knew that this would be like a huge undertaking for us. Last year, we were thinking about starting some of it, but towards the end of the year, we sort of knew it wasn't possible. This year, we started thinking about it a lot more. We were doing some planning at the beginning of the year, and about summertime is when we really got more serious with this work. Matt, do you want to switch back to the slides? Sorry. And really, we started this project called Project Hammer, and basically we set aside a part of the team to sort of section off and start working on this whole new system, while the rest of the team continued working on the updates between like then and now, right? And really what we want to do is to come up with a new system that is going to be like a foundation for Foxhole in the years to come, because we know we haven't done anything with that system for a long time. And there's a couple of things that we wanted. First of all, we wanted to make sure that the new system more closely match the theme that we're trying to go for. Right now, when you go in the game, there's just sort of a lot of like strange things that don't exactly fit the theme. Like the walls are really tall. You just sort of see like a lot of spam everywhere. It doesn't look like what you would imagine a front line in World War I or II, what it would actually look like. We wanted to make sure that it had like the depth, right? It's not just about spamming a bunch of things, but you can actually go in like deeper, right? There's a lot more options. You want to give players the ability to feel like there is a creative aspect. So, for example, like the bases they build are their bases. It's not like the canned content that we give them, right? So these were sort of like the goals. When we were talking about when we first started at the beginning to take a look at this, we looked at a lot of references, and we're basically like, what do we want the future of base building to actually look like in the game, right? And these were some of like the references that we saw that were like, it should look like this. It should feel like this, right? There should be like trenches. There should be like gun nests and like bunkers, and basically give you this feeling, as opposed to right now it's more of like a tower defense sort of feel to it, right? So this was sort of like the visual slash theme that we were trying to shoot for. And then on the gameplay side, we also took a look at that, and we said, okay, what do we want? How do we want this like affect the gameplay? And what we didn't want to do was to drastically change the game, because we didn't want. We know players were like already doing something. So what we wanted to do was to fit in, even though this system was going to be so new, we wanted to make sure it worked in harmony with what players were already doing in the game, right? So like we took a look at, okay, what is the example of what a trench network or like a bunker network might look like in the game, and we started looking at screenshots of maps that were like in the game itself, and sort of like doing like a mapping on how we feel like, okay, if this was a battle going on from a map that is on live,
how would this develop?
How would this look like with the new system, right? So we spent a lot of time on that, but before even any of that, the
big problem to solve.
The big problem to solve.
Something that we always said, hey, it's not doable.
Exactly. So there were some major technical questions that we had to answer, and because the Unreal Engine, which is the base engine that Foxhole runs on, it doesn't support certain things. You can't modify the landscape on the fly, but even worse, you can't modify it in a multiplayer like environment. That's like almost like twice the challenge. And then, some of the other questions we had is how do we build a modular system, right? Because it's a very different from just being able to plop down a lot of structures. And in doing this system, first of all, in terms of like the landscape side, we had to figure out how to modify that landscape, and we basically had to modify the engine there's a few things there, actually modifying the collision itself, right? So that if your character walks into something like a trench, as an example, they're actually inside the trench. If you throw,
not floating on top.
They're not floating on top. If you throw like a grenade into a trench, it actually lands in there.
Yep.
And you can have a full game in sort of like a subterranean sort of environment. So that was one of the problems. Obviously, like the landscape, we actually had to make sure that it looked like there was a hole, right? That's a whole other thing. And there was a bunch of challenges with regards to, okay, how do you build these on slopes, right? Because obviously, like the world isn't flat, right? So we had to come up with a system on how to handle that. And also with regards to some of the foliage, obviously there's a lot of foliage in the game. We have to figure out a way to work around that. So if you build a trench in a place with foliage, we can optionally have it removed, right? So this is not something that we necessarily want to do, but we knew we wanted the option, right? And then obviously the hardest part is how do you replicate all of this down to 160 players?
Replication for the people that don't know, Mark.
Yes. So basically, how do you send all this information down to 160 players in a way that
they're all seeing the same thing?
Isn't gonna cause like a lot of lag, essentially, right? So that was a huge problem, but we spent a lot of time in trying to solve that. And then on the modular side, we want to make like a snapping system so that when you build these networks, you're not just sort of using like a free form type of tool, but it'll actually like help you on the way, so you can build bases that look nicer, right? And also like the reactive structures, basically when you attach two pieces together, you want to see them change according to how things were actually like snapped together, right?
Yep.
So example, if you build like two pieces of like a bunker, the inside wall will actually be like removed, right?
Yep.
So then it actually forms like a single bunker instead, right? So that was, and finally structure modifications. There's another thing is on top of actually being able to choose what structure you build, you can actually go in there and modify specific parts of a structure, like examples. Actually, I'll get onto like the examples later,
Yep.
right? So these are some of the screenshots taken from like the earlier experiments, where really the goal was like, how do you make a hole?
Yeah, can we
right?
dig a hole?
Right? And we didn't even care about like the visuals at that point. It didn't need to look like anything. We just wanted to make it work with the game, right?
Yeah.
So that was sort of like this long project that, you know, started at the beginning of the summer, and finally in the fall we had most of the tech that we needed, and it was just a matter of turning it into like an update, right? Which just a matter of huge
doing
undertaking that we're still working on, but yeah, let's get into how all this stuff works. So basically, in the winter update, there's going to be this trench and bunker construction system, right? And I think it's pretty cool because I really haven't seen too many games try to do this. I know some games do have trenches, maybe in some sort of like a Minecraft sort of environment where everything is blocks. But in terms of like a game like Foxhole, I haven't really seen that done. So I might be wrong, but
So we're making a claim here that we don't know if we can substantiate.
which is my specialty.
We're one of the first.
Yeah, we're one of the first, but
We can have a probably first.
it's the first to me because I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I haven't
right?
seen it either.
But on the other side, that was one of our goals to say, okay, how do you make a trench building simulator? And that's us going back to, okay, it's almost like a small game within a game.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Oh, that's
wanna
what the
talk-
preview was about.
that's what the preview was. I think everyone knows. I already posted this like
I think everyone knows now.
before
yeah.
the stream started. But how does the modular base building system work? Basically, enables construction of large-scale modular trench and bunker networks. Basically, these networks are made out of segments that you can snap together, and then you can build things on these segments. You can upgrade these segments to eventually you can turn them into like a super fortress. And really one of our goals was like at the beginning, going back to our goals, we looked at like the big defensive lines from like the Second World War, like the Atlantic Wall or like the Maginot Line. And our goal was like players have to be able to make that themselves. If they can't, then we're not gonna reach our goal, right? So I talked about this slightly before, where the segments will actually like react to the connections, and there's that snapping system. And again, going back to like the modifications, we wanted you to be able to do things like, okay, we want to add a door to like a bunker, we want to add like a firing port so you can like shoot out, or you know, like that sort of thing. And really with this system in the future, like the sky's the limit. We can add like so many modifications.
Yeah.
And really, I'd imagine in a few months from now, like it's just going to be,
We
there's
can
like
make
so
so
many
much
options,
cool
right?
stuff. I'm so excited.
So there's a new tool that you need to use, which is the shovel, right? So this is sort of like the another type of hammer, I would say, right?
I mean,
So-
just keeping with Foxhole, we should have used the hammer, but
So people are really wondering, can you kill people with the shovel?
we'll answer that. We'll answer that question.
Okay.
Later. Yeah.
I feel like that's like the number one question,
Weird.
which is very strange. But anyway,
So basically, you'll be able to use your shovel to make your trenches, and I'll go over the trenches and the bunkers. But basically, the trenches, they will provide. So we're only going to talk about some of these things right now because some of it we're still working on. But basically, they're gonna provide you with a full cover, and they're also going to block the passage of the enemy. And they're also going to be very useful in connecting multiple bunkers together. And there is more to this that we're going to we're going to get to next time. But there is going to be a critical importance for why these trenches are necessary, right? The bunkers are basically player-built underground bases. This is where they can be upgraded with a number of like AI defenses, utility structures, fobs. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we have planned. Basically, what we want to do with these is we want players to build their own fobs, right? So right now we sort of give you this like static structure and you just kind of plop it down and you can spawn there, right? But we want players to build their own bases with their own like interiors and allow them to basically like make them like how they want to, right? And there's going to be 3 tiers to upgrade. And you know what? I think the best way, Matt, is if we just show people how this stuff works, right?
Okay.
It's a lot to talk about. So there. Oh,
Why did that not work? Well, here, talk for a second.
Yes. So you guys are gonna see what we're talking about. That's the other one.
For some reason, it didn't actually take when I did this earlier.
That's fine.
Like I said before.
I am actually very excited, particularly with the possibility of having like several things. I think that's actually gonna be really cool. I think that having a lot of tools is gonna be a lot of fun. Not only for the players, but for us as well, to be able to like conceptualize a lot of different like parts of bunkers that we can add on and stuff like that. That looks really cool.
Well, there was always like a creative element that was missing.
On both
from the base building.
Yeah.
Foxhole, yeah.
I think that like it would be really neat if, for instance, if you go and you attach, I don't know, you make this trench, like several lines of trenches and stuff like that, and people go slowly pushing, and then you take over a trench of somebody else's, and then all that defensive-ness you can kind of like turn into somebody else's as well. I think that actually makes a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that snafu.
Yeah. So here's a demonstration on how the foundational part of this whole thing works. Just as you place down a build site for your trench, and then you switch to shovel, and you shovel it just like you hit a build site with your hammer. Hopefully this voice is synced with the video, Matt. If not, that's fine. But
should be. Yeah.
So you can see the snapping system work here. You can basically snap another trench piece, and that will not only snap, but it will react to that first piece. So this is what we're talking about, where it will be.
It's going to open up that little passage there, like the little T passage.
This is like the landscape modification that we were talking about. This is fully modifying the landscape, and you can hop in there, and so this is one of like the bunker pieces I was talking about, and you can attach those to your trenches as well, so that basically you can run from your bunkers. You can move in between your bunkers using your trench network. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's really cool, actually.
Unfortunately, we were dropping frames for some reason, like a lot.
Oh, so they might not be able to see. You want to try doing the demo in here?
No, that's not going to help. It's the connection.
Oh, it's the connection.
Yeah. So I think it's fine now. It seems to have stabilized. So you can keep talking.
It's possible we could like.
This video will loop. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Is it possible that there's a bandwidth issue at the office?
Could be. It's definitely not the PC. The PC's fine. So it's not the video.
Right. And everything's connected, right? Using cable.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
We're just dropping frames. People started saying that there was issues. Looks like we're back. Looks like we're good. This isn't lags every few minutes, which is like weird because we're dropping frames every once in a while. But we haven't dropped frames in a little bit, so I think we're okay.
Cool.
Okay, so go ahead. You can keep talking.
All right.
So these are like four bunker parts together, right?
Yeah. So once you attach these bunkers, as you see in a moment, you can walk inside them, and it'll just be one holistic base, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And you can keep expanding that. Like, it's not like it's just like that's the size of it.
No, yeah, it's
you can,
completely free form on that way, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can keep adding. I think we'll see some more here, but you can keep adding as many pieces to it as you want, which is really, really cool.
And what is this about now, Mark?
So this is the upgrading through the 3 tiers that I was talking about earlier. Basically, any of these pieces you can upgrade through up to 3 tiers, but this is just more of like a technical demonstration. In the actual game, you won't be able to upgrade them this easily.
Well, it's not going to be into hammer strokes.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing that we really want to see is at the front line, you start seeing these first tier type of trenches, but the further that you get into the back line, it starts getting towards the 2nd tier. And then finally in the back line is the 3rd tier, where you sort of have like these really hardened
concrete or metal, or
these like hardened lines that are really going to take a lot of effort in order to smash through. And so this is sort of showing the 3rd tier here, which is the concrete tier.
nice.
And right now all these rooms are like empty, but you're going to be able to like fill them with things, which is kind of like a huge point of the system, is that we want you guys again to make your own fobs. We want you to like fill them with things like tools and like storage boxes and, you know, all sorts of things, right? It was funny because a while back when we released the tall sandbags, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was trying to build something like this with the sandbags, but it was like
They're building cover for themselves, basically, right?
Right,
By
but there
using
was
the meager tools that we're getting.
meager tools. There was no snapping. Nothing actually worked. But we saw what players were actually trying to do with these, and we just, you know, wanted to go 100%,
Yeah.
100% with that, right? So
That's really cool.
It's worth noting that you'll see some of the like floating foliage stuff. That'll be polished
Yeah.
in the future.
This is still.
It's
like
still
it or
very
not,
early.
We're still doing it
yeah,
in development.
this is in development still. So base modification. So this part's kind of cool. This is the modifications that we were talking about. Basically, if you want to add like a door, there's not really a UI for it right now. That's work in progress. But basically, you can walk up to a door with a hammer. If you have the resources, you can make a door, just like it's shown there, and then you can walk through it, right? And then in the same way here, if you want to add like a firing port through this bunker, so you can shoot out of it, or you can deploy a weapon. You can deploy a weapon, spoiler alert, and then you can shoot out of it, as you can see here, right? So
And then you still have full cover.
and you still have your
That's
full,
really nice.
you get your full cover. You can shoot out, and basically we want to see we don't even know what players are going to be able to like do with this, right? We don't even know what kind of bases. So someone's going to figure out what the optimal base is, and then we're going to keep on like adding onto the system, right?
There's going to be a lot of discussion of like, no, you should make your bases like in an S shape or in a square shape or whatever.
And this is upgrading your bunkers into like AI defense, right? So this is sort of first tier like AI defense here, and now this is able to shoot. But there's some cool things because some of like the AI defenses can actually shoot into like the interior of the bunkers too, so you can actually use them if the enemy is able to make it into your trench network. These defenses will be effective against them as well. As you can see here, this is like building a rifle garrison into the bunker, so it can shoot at the enemies on the inside as well, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's super, super fun. This has been really fun for me personally. I'm very excited.
And this is sort of just showing the kind of thing that you can like end up with, you know, if you put a lot of effort into it. So this is like a fully built up
Bunker system
at the back line. You can see like the AI defenses there. There's like several types of defenses, and even these really large defenses here at the back that you can build. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, and then there's another sort of flying shot of like the second tier, and then this eventually. So this is sort of like the evolution that you'll see a trench system that goes from the first tier. naturally evolves into the third tier over time. And
Man, this is so cool.
yeah, and that's really, this is just at the beginning. There's a lot more cool things that we want to talk about next time, including some more like mountain goals. Players, really one of the things that we really want to see again would be some group of players going crazy and building out like something that's like the equivalent of like the Maginot Line, like basically like a super fortress, right?
And having fun with like building like these networks that it kind of reminds me. This is a long time ago when we have the tunnel networks in which people build those sprawling networks and covered a lot of space and like from one place to another, helping the people actually move around. And due to so many reasons, we remove them, but like the trenches could be that
The proper version.
the
of
proper
that.
version.
I mean,
of that.
we've also seen players try to build a wall across the whole region, right?
Yeah.
But you couldn't really do it. There weren't the tools. It was extremely crude.
Yeah.
But now you will be able to do that, right?
So there's a lot of questions. So for a lot of people asking questions, we're going to do a really, really short Q&A at the end of the stream. And then we're also going to answer some questions on the Discord. But we may not answer all your questions. I just want to let you know.
And there's
just 'cause
also
it's still,
more information.
there's still a lot more coming.
Yeah.
Cool. So maybe we
So
can.
let's keep going on the development update, because that's not all
No.
It's not all for part one.
for part one.
So here's some screenshots just before we move on, and here's sort of some of the teasers on, on what's going to be coming
for the Devstream, yeah.
on what's going to be coming next time. So don't forget to show up for the next one as well.
Same bat time.
Yeah.
Same bat trend.
And now let's move on to
Channel.
deployable weapons, right? So do you need to switch the video over for this, Matt, or is this actually going to work later? Just sort of-
Well, we're
Okay.
going to be continue talking.
let's
then he's gonna
let's find out. No. Just
Okay.
keep talking for
I
a
can
minute.
keep going? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Why does it do I'm going to write an angry letter.
Yeah. Well, so we're gonna be talking about something that it is. What is?
Yeah, we're just going to have to hold on for a minute. But basically, the deployable weapon system, I can maybe just talk
Yep.
about a few things first. Basically, players have been asking for this for a really long time. Basically, being able to deploy a weapon that can be like a static mount. So you can use it if you dismount it, someone else can walk up to it and they can also use it.
There we go.
And can
don't
you
think
switch back to the slides,
Switch
Matt?
back to the slides, please.
Slides.
Whoop.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the thing that we really want to see, there was like certain people on the team that really wanted to push into the idea of a squad like based system where sort of like a mortar team or like a machine gun team where you have to have multiple people involved in this, right? And because this is going to be more powerful than your like standard weapons that are held. So we came with a system where one player has to carry a tripod, one player has to carry the actual weapon, and you really need like both parts if you want to deploy these weapons. So basically, it's a new class of weapons that can be deployed and mounted by any player. First part of it is a tripod. Basically, you can place a tripod on sandbags. You can place them on the ledges of a trench. Obviously, one of the reasons why I want to do this is because of the trench system.
You can also place them
Right.
on the ground.
You can place on the ground as well. We wanted to see players like shooting these heavier weapons from the safety point of a trench, right? And the first weapon we're going to talk about is the infantry support gun. So basically, this is a infantry weapon that is effective against armored targets like tanks, right? And takes the new 30mm round. And now, Matt, we can show the video to show you how it works.
Let's hope it's the right video now, because I have no idea. Okay, good.
There we go.
There you go.
Jeez.
Something's going right on this stream.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can see here how it works. First player deploys the tripod, steps away, second player deploys Teamtree support gun.
I just want to say that these animations are still temporary. I want to defend myself. They're still
Right.
standing.
And then if you're killed, or if you run away like a coward, like I did here, then the second player can mount that gun, and they take over. And we also want these to be placeable on the firing ports on the inside of the bunkers too.
Yeah.
So this stuff was made to go hand in hand with all the trench stuff that we've been working on.
Nice.
Right? Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's very cool.
Let's see. Yeah, so that's it for now. And this is the first part. Obviously, you guys are gonna have a lot of questions, and there's gonna be a lot more that's gonna be coming in the winter update. If you recall our summer update, the first stream, we just sort of like talked about a few things, and then the second stream is when we sort of like revealed most of the content. So it's the same sort of thing this time, because things are not everything's ready yet. We just want to give you guys a first look, but expect a lot more to come on the next stream.
Yeah.
Right? So, having said that, Matt, do you want to?
Yeah. So we just have a special guest that we're going to bring on.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to just introduce what's going on here.
So
Yes.
we're gonna be calling Alcas or Nuba for the other people that
Nuba,
the
yeah.
people that know him as such. He's gonna be calling in, and we're gonna be talking to him a little bit. He's gonna be talking a little bit about the special announcement. I don't know what he's gonna say exactly, so I don't know what I should like.
I think it's safe to say that he's been involved in a small little project that's been going on
A very special project.
at Clapfoot for the last year or so, and he's finally ready to
Can you
talk about it.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I don't know if people can hear you. I hope.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
I can hear
okay,
you.
we're ready
I
to.
think we're good to go.
We're ready to roll. All right, here we go.
Okay, awesome. So,
You're live.
All right, good job. Good job with the trench update, guys. That's looking awesome. That's going to be pretty epic. But hello, everybody. I have something completely different to talk about a completely different thing that we've been working on. We want to help. We want to ask you guys for some help with running a technical test. And to give you context as to what we're trying to do, in Foxhole, we can support somewhere around 170 players on the same server. And that number we want to push further, and we're going to be doing further optimizations to, push that even further and in the future. But we've often wondered, what would be possible if we started from scratch? If we wrote a game server from scratch, how many people can we support on the server? So completely different from Foxhole. We've had Stefan, one of the developers on the team, do that exactly. He's written a game server from scratch, and right now it's ready for a public test. We hope to be able to support up to 1,000 people on the same server.
Yes.
So we said, okay, let's take this opportunity. We want to do a public test. Let's take this opportunity to run a fun event that explores Foxhole warfare in a much earlier time period. So we've come up with the Battle of Red River demo. It's something small we put together. Matt, if you want to run the video to give people an idea of
Awesome.
what we have so far.
Let's do it and hope it's the right video. We can make a bingo meme.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Outcast.
All right, guys. So if you want to, am I still on the stream?
No,
Yeah.
you're still on. No,
Cool.
you're on.
So thanks for watching, guys. If you want to help with the test and partake in this one-time event, please sign up at foxholegame.com/Red River. We'll post a link at the places. Thanks a lot. We appreciate your help in advance. We'll see you on the battlefield.
Thanks,
Amazing.
Outcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. That looks
See you, man.
that looks really cool, and I'm really excited about what those guys have been working on.
Yeah.
I've actually been sort of watching from the side constantly,
can-
and it's really cool to.
I had a lot of fun cutting that video because it was just
Yeah.
like sweet.
Cool.
I hope it played okay for everybody. But
We're gonna post it.
But we're gonna post it. So if it was a little like choppy, it is a stream and everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna post it so you guys can get a better look at it and everything. Yeah. So this has been an eventful stream. Obviously, there's a lot that we had to talk about today, and I feel like it was very. I don't know. I was a little nervous. Now I'm not.
Yeah,
now I
well,
feel okay.
Everything that was supposed to go
Everything
wrong
that was,
already did.
you know,
so
it's so funny.
doesn't
like,
matter now.
I mean,
because-
when everything goes wrong, you don't have to be nervous anymore.
Yeah, of course.
You got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose, right?
It's so funny. It's just Murphy's Law. You know, we come in and we set all this stuff up early.
Yeah.
I actually feel the streams that we don't prepare for go smoother.
They go smoothly. Anyway, so long story short.